up? What's up? What's up? Happy Tuesday. Ooh, child. We are trucking along. Happy Tuesday. Today we are talking, we're having a Q&A from my video that premiered yesterday on how to become debt-free in 2023. I was having some technical difficulties yesterday, and I wanted to go live right after, but I couldn't because my video didn't post until like after 8 o'clock. But I'm back now. And yeah, today I'm just gonna be answering your questions about how to become debt free in 2023. And then I'll be giving just like a little recap of the video as well, in case you haven't watched it yet. So if you haven't, it did premiere last night. Be sure to go back and head over and watch it. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a comment. If you haven't subscribed already, then be sure to subscribe. And y'all, sorry for the background noise. My air fryer is going with some chicken. So, yeah, you may hear a beep soon. And I think, how much we got left here? We got like 30 minutes left on the timer. So, excuse the background noise. But I gotta eat. So yeah, it is so cold here today. It is a cold, rainy day here in Texas. What's the weather looking like? Well, where y'all are at, I want to know. But yeah, it's a cold, rainy day here in Texas. As you're coming in, be sure to drop your questions in the chat. If you have any questions about my debt-free journey, if you have any questions just about any financial topic in general, I'll be happy to answer them below. And if I'm not sure, I'll say, oh, girl, that's out of my wheelhouse. I'm not quite sure. But all of your debt-free questions, I feel like I can answer. So definitely drop down in the comments and let me know. I got to look at my notes so I don't forget anything. In case you forgot, Mondays are Money Mondays on my channel. That's a new 2023 topic. Each Monday you can expect a video from me regarding financial literacy, my debt-free journey, different things that I'm doing, all those things. Be sure to check it out on Mondays. It'll typically drop around, if I'm not having technical difficulties, it'll drop around like 6-ish. So yeah, y'all be sure to check that out on my channel. You can expect that on Mondays. And also Wednesdays, tomorrow I have a video dropping. I recorded it today. I'm going to be telling you how to get a doctoral degree for free. Yes, your PhD or your EDD. I'm getting my EDD for free, and I'm gonna tell you what I did to do that. So y'all drop down. So if you have questions about that, drop down comments as well, and that'll be premiering tomorrow, like around the 6:30ish hour. And I'll be on live again answering any questions that y'all have about that as well. So y'all be sure to check it, girl, out. My goal this week is to chat with y'all for at least 30 minutes on live each day. I'm getting more comfortable with live. Yeah, so that'll be happening here. We're on day 2 of 30 minutes. Yesterday, I'm not sure if we did 27 minutes, but it was close enough, okay? But yeah, today we are on day 2. And I am excited to talk with y'all. So I had 7 tips, and I'll be looking at my notes here. So that's what I'm looking at. I had 7 tips where I talked about, how you can become debt-free in 2023, y'all. So that is so important, especially for my people who feel like, oh, I can't do that. I got too much debt. Like, and please note that I'm talking about debt outside of a home. So I'm not talking about your mortgage. I'm talking about anything outside of that. So your student loans, your car. I was financing my cell phone, your cell phone, anything. Listen, if you paying the payment on it, you owe it. So that's what I'm talking about, outside of a home, of course. But as y'all know, I was on my debt-free journey for 22 months. I became debt-free officially in July 2022. So it's been a few months. July, August, September, October, November, December, January. Wow, it's been half a year, so it's been 6 months. Oh, what am I going to do for my 1 year debt-free anniversary? Ooh, what should I do? Y'all drop down in the comments and let me know, like, what should I do for my 1 year debt-free anniversary? I feel like we need to be planning. Like, that's a monumental moment. I'm celebrating that like a birthday. So yeah, that'll be July 2023. I'll be 1 year debt free. But 6 months out of the debt game, I was just thinking, like, what are my tips for people to really, get started? Because it's really about getting started. It's hard to get started sometimes. It's intimidating. It may be, you may just feel like, I don't even know where to start, right? So I gave 7 tips last night, and I'll go over them here with you. And as I'm, saying the tips, drop out in the comments and let me know, like, what tip do you think you're going to have the most trouble with? What tip do you need to work on the most? And what questions do you have about any of them? So let's get into it. Tip number 1, get on a budget. So that's first things first. I know that sounds so simple, right? Like, get on a budget, but it's not. Because that's where the discipline, like, really, requires something. That's where the discipline kind of gets into place. That's where the discipline, like, is really, really needed. So get on a budget. Like, if your budget is in your head, it's not a budget. If your budget is, well, I can, spend this because I'll make it bad, or, I'll just pull from over here, that's not a budget. A budget is a plan for your money that you have written out, whether that's physically writing down or it's in an app that you can pull up and look at any time. That is a budget. So, and I know for me, the second step to your budget is that you have to use cash. Like, listen, I'm sorry. Budgeting with a debit card and you don't have any cash, I feel like it's a plan for failure. Because once you get up to the front of that grocery store and your budget was, let's say your budget was $150 for groceries, and you get up there and it's $201, are you going to swipe and say, well, it'll just come, I'm getting paid again on this day, or I'll just, spend a little less here. Are you going to swipe, or are you going to put that stuff back? And it's people waiting behind you and all this stuff like this. No, you're going to swipe that card. But when you have cash and you look in that envelope, that budget envelope, and it's just $150 in there, and you don't even have your debit card with you, listen, I'm sorry, Miss Cashier. I'm sorry, y'all, but I just need to put a few things back. Hold on. We got to prioritize, and once you get in the habit of, okay, I know I only have this much in my envelope, I'm going to try my darndest to stay, under that amount. So it's not just about building a budget. You have to utilize cash. I know one of the areas that would get me was my my gas. Like, I would just swipe my debit card for that, and it would really, like, put a foot in my budget, because I would always overspend there, or I would always overspend in other areas, and I didn't account for my gas, and that was something that was so frustrating to me. So when I started using cash to pay for my gas, I saw a world of a difference in my budget. I saw how much I was actually spending, and then I saw that some months, as gas fluctuates, okay, I can, decrease here, or I need to increase there. Especially because I went to the gas station today and I noticed that gas went up. It was $3.09. The last time I got gas, it was like under $3. So, as gas is fluctuating, you want to make sure, that you have that cash envelope, because you're able to see, what you're spending. You're able to see, was I out and about too much? And I'm supposed to be on a budget? What's happening here? So, I would encourage you to utilize a budgeting app. I use EveryDollar, y'all. They have the free version. I do have the paid version, but they have the free version. You can use that. I used the free version all throughout my debt-free journey. And once I went to the Dave Ramsey show, they gave me like a year. Ooh, y'all, my chicken. They gave me a free year subscription to that, and Financial Peace University, which I'm going to be finishing up those videos here soon. And that really helped me, to just stay on track, because the paid version connects to your bank account. I actually haven't even connected it to my bank account yet, and I have it, so I need to do that ASAP. But it's so important for you to utilize an app that you can understand. Like I said, I use Every Dollar, but maybe you use Mint, or there's other ones, that you can use. But it's important that you're using something that you can, go and look at and you understand. So first things first, get on a budget. Now we need to take a little quick commercial break because I gotta flip my chicken, okay? So hold on 1 second, y'all. I'm coming back. 1 minute. Gotta flip my chicken. Ooh, it's bubbling. All right, there we go. There we go. All right, y'all. I had to flip my chicken. Thanks for your patience. We got 20 minutes left. I'm actually making some honey barbecue chicken. Go ahead, head over to my shorts and check out my recipe for that, y'all. It came out so good. It was my first time putting it. I make wings in the air fryer all the time, but the honey and the barbecue in the air fryer, that crisp. Yes, ma'am. Okay, listen. That's another thing. Cook at home. Stay on your budget. Okay, make them honey crisp wings at home. They taste better, and you can make yourself as many as you want. But so let's get to number two. Number two, write out your debts, y'all. You have, and I was looking for my purse, but I don't have it over here, so I could show you my debt paper. I always show that to y'all. But write out your debts. Okay, you have to. I know it's scary. I know it's intimidating, but you have to write out your debts, because that lets you know what you're working with. You may not have as much debt as you think, or you may have way more than you thought. It's important for you to write out your debt. Get a sheet of paper. This is not something you're going to type up, put on an Excel spreadsheet. You got to write that thing out first. You can do that after. Write it out. Get a pen and paper and just write out everything. If you don't know, because sometimes, years have passed and you're not quite sure. Sometimes things just pop up and it's like, oh, I did have that medical bill. I totally forgot about that. You may need to pull your credit report. You can pull your credit report for free, y'all. You don't need to pay to do that. You just go on Experian, I believe, and they will give you, I believe they'll give you your credit report from the three credit reporting bureaus. Is it Experian, TransUnion, and something else, child? I forgot. But you can print out your credit report for free. And I think it's important, for you to be checking your credit report. Like, I get alerts. So, I can see when something went up. I can see, when something went down. I can see if something is reporting. So make sure that you look at your credit report, because you may not know what you owe. And that's okay. Sometimes life gets ahead of us, life happens, but now, when you know better, you do better. So write down all of your debts. Once again, a debt is anything that you owe. So don't be skipping over those student loans. Ma'am or sir, write those down, okay? Don't be like me. Don't skip over that cell phone that you paying on. Write that cell phone down. Write down anything that you owe. And I just thought about this. So there are some things that are in active repayment. So what I mean by that is I'm going to use the student loan example. If you have student loans, but you are like in a program, and I'm not talking about the PSLF. I'm not talking about that. I'm sorry. 10 years to pay out something is a little too long, y'all. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, there are programs that you will be in active repayment to pay off your student loans, and it won't even show on like a credit report, because they have a separate system and they're tracking, your months or your years towards your payment. I'm not talking about things that are actually going to be paid off and that are going to be paid off like soon. So I'm not talking about that type of student loan thing, because there are people who they are getting like rural, they call them like rural grants. So like people who are in the medical field who work in underserved areas, and they're able to get like 50,000 paid off a year and things like that. I'm not talking about that, because that is, you working to pay off that debt. I'm talking about the student loans that's just sitting there that you ain't paid on since you graduated 10 years ago. Those, But, basically anything you owe, write it down. Tally it up, Get that total. It took me a minute, y'all, to look at my total. I'm not gonna lie. I was like nervous. Like I wrote down my debts, but I was nervous to like tally up that total because I'm like, ooh, I don't want to get discouraged. I'm a little embarrassed. That self-embarrassment you have, like, girl, how did you get here? But my encouragement to y'all is like, tally it up. Once I tallied it up, I was like, okay, I got this. I can do this, You have to have a plan, so that you can know where you're going. The people without a plan perish. So you really need to have that plan to see, okay, I'm $43,000 in debt. All right, it is what it is. Let's attack this sucker. So write down all of your debts and tally them up. That's my second step. Number 3. So this really pairs well with number 2. Choose a method to pay off your debt. So I use the debt snowball. The debt snowball is when you write down your debts but you rank them from smallest to largest, and you start with paying off the smallest debt first. You still make minimum payments on everything else. You still do that. But you really, really attack that smallest debt with everything that you got. Once you finish paying that off, you roll what you were paying on that into the next payment, so on and so forth. And you have a snowball that gets bigger and bigger. And next thing you know, baby, you slipping and sliding down that mountain. It's knocking the debt out like bowling pins. So the debt snowball, I like the debt snowball because I was able to see that I can do this. Like once you start paying off those little things, I think the first thing I paid off was some medical debt. It was like $500. That was the first thing I paid off. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, you got this, sis. And then the next thing I paid off was a credit card. I want to say it was like $800. I'm like, all right, I'm doing something. I got it going. And it just kept going. It kept going. It kept going. And I thought that, those little wins, they really give you the fuel that you need, especially if you're feeling discouraged, especially if you're just kind of unsure about your next steps. And once you start seeing that you can do it and the debt just starts dissipating, you keep going. You're encouraged. So use the debt snowball. I know some people like to get tripped up with well, this has this interest rate and all of this stuff like this. But I know for me personally, I was very aware to not be distracted or thrown off by self-sabotage. Because when you start something and it's just like, well, you really, need to be worried about this over here, but it's just something to distract you. Start small. When you are attacking debt, you got to start small. Like, you can't imagine if you're just going to start off with that $20,000 debt right away. You got something that's $200. Like, if you don't pay that $200 debt off and work your way, you have to kind of train yourself to get up to that point. So train yourself to get up to, paying off the bigger debt. That is so important. And as you get up there, you're going to do it. One thing that I just thought about as I was talking is that after you choose your method to pay off debt, do not take out any new debt along the way. So yes, I cut up my credit cards. I did. I cut them suckers up into millions of pieces and I put them in the trash. So once you start paying off debt, you got to cut off the temptation. Cut up that credit card. A credit card is not for an emergency. It is for you to get further in debt. Your emergency fund is for your emergency. So cut that sucker up. Turn off. I know for me, I had to turn off the PayPal credit. Turn off the Klarna or the Afterpay. cut that mess off and cut it up. Do not take out any new debt. I think that was one thing for me. Like back in the day, I wasn't on a debt-free journey, but I wanted to, pay off a credit card here and there. I'd pay it off, but I'd run it back up because I hadn't made a decision to say, hey, we done, sis. No, ma'am, never again. Nope. I was just like, oh, I'm just pay it off with no other plan or like afterthought. Like, no. You have to cut it off right then and there. You have to make that decision for yourself. And it's scary. It's scary to cut up your credit card and you only got, just a few $100 in the bank. It's scary. But that feeling also pushed me to get a second job, to get a side hustle, to make sure that I was on a really straight and narrow path to pay this mess off so that I wouldn't have to worry about, falling back into this trap. So once you pick your debt method or the method that you're going to use to pay off debt, make a decision to not get into any more debt because it will be tempting. You notice like that balance. It's like, oh, I got a little something that I could go do 1, 2, 3 with. No, ma'am. Cut it off. Don't even give yourself the option. Nope. So choose your method to pay off debt and don't take out any more. Number 4, change your mindset. So, and I always talk about this, I had to change my mindset about that. I had to be flexible in my thinking and say, just because everybody else is doing it doesn't mean I have to. We grew up hearing that, right? Well, if they gonna jump off a bridge, you gonna jump with them. And it's like, no, I'm not. You have to say that to yourself about debt as well. Just because everybody else is doing it, just because everybody else is bragging about not paying their student loans and taking it to the grave with them, that doesn't mean that it has to be you. Do what's different. Do what's not so easy. Like, it's not easy to pay off debt, but it reaps an amazing harvest to get paid. And it's just like, I want to go on a trip. All right, let me put that in my budget. I can do that. Oh, wow. Once I was debt free, I'm like, oh, no more paying off debt. What do I do now? The way that you think about yourself changes, your self-esteem, just goes through the roof. The way that you see the way other people are moving changes as well, because you already know what they're doing. The same thing you was doing, putting it on Afterpay, or putting it on a credit card. So be flexible in your thinking to say that, I'm not going to do what everybody else is doing. I'm going to do something different. I think the biggest thing in being flexible in your thinking is to say that I can do this. Like, I can be debt free. Like, yeah, I can. I'm not saying it's going to be hard because it's not. I'm sorry, easy. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It's going to be hard. Like, most definitely. But you can do it. Start out small. The saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You just take it one bite at a time, but you stay on a steady path with constant encouragement as well. So I still listen to the Dave Ramsey podcast every single day. Still, take in new information. Still, watch inspiring videos or just listen to things to kind of get it in your spirit, because those things, they creep inside of you and they help you to feel better. They help to change your thinking. And then I think it's important when changing your thinking as well is, consider that you were wrong, about some of the ways that you thought about money. I was wrong, with some of the ways that I thought about money. Consider that some of the things that people told you were wrong. Yeah, they were wrong. I didn't have to take out a student loan. I could have gotten a job, I could have applied for more scholarships, so sometimes we have to, just admit that, like, what I learned was wrong. What I was, taking in about debt was wrong. What I thought about debt was wrong, So be flexible in your thinking. And you may have to ask yourself, like, what's one way that I could change the way that I think about debt? or the way that I think about my financial future. Like, what's one way that I could change that? I think the biggest thing for me, like I said, in my thinking was that I could be debt free, because I remember my church praying to be debt free. But I was praying for the church to be debt free, but I didn't even see, when I look back on that, like, I didn't see that for myself. Like, I really didn't. That's crazy, right? I'm praying for somebody else to be this, but I'm not seeing it for myself. So that's something, that for me was the biggest thing. I had to change my mindset to say, yes, you can be debt free, Dugan. You can do it. I also had to change my mindset to say that I can make more money, because I think sometimes, especially once you get in your career and you start to see, just the ladder of things, sometimes we kind of get discouraged with, like, dang, I'm going to be 73 for I make six figures. You got to change your mindset, like, about that. Like, no, I can make six figures. I'm going to make six figures and I ain't going to be nowhere near 73. Like, that's my mindset now. So it's important to think, to think about those things in different ways. Also, I know for me, I also had to challenge myself to work another job. Like, back in the day when I would hear people working two jobs, I used to think, like, that's because they were broke. And that was just like a misconception that I had. But no. So if somebody's working more than one job, they may be paying off debt, they may be saving for something. They may just need to make, just a little more money because their expenses have increased. It doesn't mean they're broke. And then that's really how you get ahead. How I plowed through that debt was because I was working 2, 3, 4 jobs. I was doing whatever I could do, to pay off that debt. So challenge your thinking. Like, where are some ways that that it's just like, is that true? And look for evidence, if it is true or if it's not true. So for all the, all the naysayers, oh, you always gonna be in debt. Oh, you can't pay off debt. Here I am. I have no debt, 0. So we just debunked that myth. And if you're just logging in, yes, that is my air fryer in the back, because I'm air frying some chicken, and I only have 4 minutes left. So number 5. What's your why? So why do you want to become debt free? Like, what is the big whoop about being debt free? That's important to establish, because once the going gets tough, you tired, you done paid off, let's say 20,000 of that student loan, but you still got 20,000 more to go. You're going to need to remember why you're doing this, okay? You have to remember why. That is so important. Everybody's why is different, Maybe you want to change your family legacy. Maybe you want to just be able to save more money so that you can do the things that you want to do. That's a why. For folks that have children, maybe they want to make sure that once their children get to college age, they are going to have what they need. So you have to ask yourself, like, why do you want to be debt free? I don't think it's as trendy as some people may try to make it. Because I know when I look on YouTube and things like that, like, I see more people on the journey than, I see who are actually there. Because it's hard, like, it's hard to do. It's not fun. Well, I will say that as I was paying off debt, as I was going through, my list of paying off things, it did become fun for me. It did become, like a game. Maybe I'm a little weird, but, initially it's not fun. It's hard work, especially as you're first starting out. It's like, oh, child, I got a little mountain to climb. Like, help me, Lord. So it's not fun. It's not the most trendiest thing. So you really have to, because those things fade away. It's only going to be fun for so long, some things. It's only going to be trendy for so long before we on to the next thing. So you have to really establish, like, why do I want to do this? Why do I want to do this? In addition to, what am I willing to give up? Like, what are you willing to give up? Because you're going to have to give up some things. You're going to have to say no. You're going to have to be just a little bit sleepy. You may be you shouldn't be, like, hungry, but, you may not, have the things that you want it, these are things that you have to think about. Like, what are you willing to give up? I think back to when I was getting my master's degree, and I was in school full time. It was not online. I was in school full time, and I was a full time teacher in a self contained classroom for students on the spectrum. And it was hard. Like, it was hard doing both of those things. And I was in a new city, and I was by myself. Like, I didn't like quite know anybody right away, and it was hard. But I remember thinking, I want this so bad. I want my master's degree so bad. Listen, what Celie said, death could keep me from it. I was like, listen, I want this bad. Like, nothing was going to keep me from it, because I knew what that education would do for me. I knew what it would do for my career. I knew what it would do for my future family. I knew what it would do just for the legacy that I want for myself. So I was like, I cannot tell you how bad that I want this and what I'm willing to do. Oh, my chicken ready, y'all. But yeah, so how bad do you want it? What are you willing to give up? You know, what are you willing to say no to? You have to like establish that. I know for me, when I was on the journey, you know, I ain't gonna lie, I was willing to starve. I was willing to be a little hungry. I was, because I was not eating out for any reason. Like, no, I'm not eating out. I already told you I'm not eating out, and that's what I'm not going, I'm not doing it. We will wait till we get to the house. And that's what I did. Like, I did not eat out unless somebody else paid for it, or unless it was $1. Like, if I had like a T-Mobile Tuesdays coupon, then yeah, I do that. But yeah, what are you willing to give up? Like, seriously, establish that now. Number 6, and I kind of talk about this a little, delete temptations. Like, I talked about cutting up the credit card, cut that mess up. Not only cut it up, close the account. Cut it up and close the account. You got to. Like, you got to. You just have to do it. You have to. So cut it up and close the accounts. I know that's hard to hear. That is, scary, especially when you don't have, the necessary funds for emergencies right away. But once you get on this journey and you start doing your part, guess what? Things gonna fall into place. Things fell into place for me. I got money from places I didn't know I was gonna get it. I got new opportunities that I never imagined. Things fell into place, and you have to trust that. Like, you really have to trust that, especially if you're a believer, in Christ. You got to trust that. You got to trust that he's gonna work it all out together for your good. And that is another part of this journey, whether you're a believer or not. Like, you gotta trust in yourself that you're gonna be able to do this, and you have to trust that you're gonna have what you need, because I think that's the scariest part. Like, the reason why it's kind of hard to delete the temptations, because some of these things are, I wouldn't say like all of them are needs. Some of them, we may feel our needs. Like, I need my credit card. Like, no, you don't. I need to, eat out every Friday or every time I get paid. No, you don't. We need oxygen. We need food to eat in our bellies. Doesn't have to be from, the best restaurant. Those are needs. You need a home. You need your car, things like that. But, those wants sometimes feel like needs. I know, I'm trying to think, what was a big thing? Ooh, I know what my big thing was. So, previous to COVID, like, I kept my nails and toes done. Like, that was a thing for me. Like, my nails and toes were done. But, when COVID came, you couldn't get your nails done, baby. It was a shutdown. I remember when they shut down the salon. I was like, oh, I'm glad I got my nails done last week. Because, we didn't know how long it was going to be. We weren't thinking it was going to be for that long. But that was a thing for me, And I know that if that would not have happened, where I got out of the habit of doing that, like, that would have been hard for me initially. Like, no nails and toes. Like, what? See, now you're talking crazy. I can't do all that. But, as, COVID really helped me to get to kind of set that up for me that, I don't need my nails and toes done. That is a want. And now I'm back to getting my nails done. I have a nail appointment this Saturday, so I'm excited about that. And that's another, thing. It's going to come back. You're only doing it for a short time. Like, you're only doing it for a short time. You can do it. You can do it. But, we have to delete those temptations. So cut up the cards, unsubscribe from the emails, You know, don't hang around, you know, those places that are really tempting for you. If you're not a window shopper, you know, you're going to buy it. Don't go window shopping, find you something else to do. You know, and you may have to think like, what are your temptations? Oh, another temptation for me was the PayPal credit. It's basically like the afterpay. And I remember, you know, I see stuff and I'm like, oh, I got that little PayPal credit. And you see the button just blinking all shiny and glittery, like, click me. And I was clicking. You know, I know once I paid that out, when I tell you I cut that thing off so fast, because I was like, oh, no, ma'am, this ain't going to work for me. Like, I wasn't strong enough, you know. So you got to cut off the temptations, you know. Have your accountability partner to, you know, hey, did you cut that off? I seen you driving past that Chili's. You ain't eat now. Go home and make you Chili's at the house, you know? So cut off the temptations, whatever those are for you. Okay, last thing. It's a marathon, not a race. So you are training, and that's why, you know, you got to start with the little things first to build up. You're training yourself, you're training your mind, you're training your body. It's really like a whole body, you know, transformation. You have to train, but you start up here. You start with your mind, because that's the biggest thing, because that's what drives this. And then, you know, you work your way down. You got to start with your heart as well. But it's a marathon, not a race, especially for folks who are paying off six-figure debt. There are people, you know, who do have six-figure debt outside of a mortgage. And you know, that is the one of the true marathons, because it's going to take a few years, you know, and that's okay. You can do it. Stick to it though. You know, it's important if you fall down, you know, when they in a marathon, they stumble a bit, they keep going. You know, you got to keep going. You have to press on towards the mark. You got to beat your body into submission. You know, you have to be in control, you know, mind over matter. Like, no, I tell my body what I'm going to do. You know, if I say we ain't eating out, we ain't eating out. If I say we not going here, we not going here. So you have to remember that it's a marathon, you know. It's not going to be something that's going to be the most fun at times. You're going to be tired. It's not going to be something that's going to be the most exciting, you know, all the time. Sometimes it is exciting, especially when you pay off something earlier than you thought. But yeah, it's not something that's going to be just the most exhilarating thing overall. And that's okay. It is a marathon, not a race. Keep going. Now, I will say, you got to keep the pace steady. For me, you know, I was gazelle intense, and that I wanted to do this as soon as possible. I was willing to work 3 to 4 jobs to get this mess out of my life. But like I said, I understand for people who have larger amounts of debt that it's going to, you know, take just a little more time. So build up those habits. Don't get distracted. Keep going. Stay on the straight and narrow. If you fall off, dust yourself off, it's okay. Get back up and keep going. So, yeah, those are my tips, y'all. If you're just logging in, number one, get on a budget and use cash envelopes. Choose an app that's easy for you to understand. I use EveryDollar. Number two, write out your debts. Write out your debts on a sheet of paper. Write it out. You know, it's just something magical about writing something out. Write out everything that you owe outside of your mortgage. Number three, choose a method to pay off debt. I use the debt snowball. Rank them, and that's when you rank your debts from smallest to largest, and you start paying off the smallest. And once you finish with that payment, you roll it into the next, still making minimum payments on everything. Number four, change your mindset. What is something that, you know, you are wrong about? Change your mindset to, you know, change the way you feel and think about it. Number five, what's your why? Why are you doing this? If it's because it's trending, you ain't gonna last. You know, you gotta go deeper. Number six, delete temptations. Cut up those credit cards. Stop driving around that little plaza that you love. Go another way. Delete your temptations. And then lastly, it is a marathon, not a race. So those are my 7 steps, y'all, on how to become debt free in 2023. Y'all be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for all of your support thus far. I greatly appreciate it. And drop it in the comments and let me know what questions do you have, what money topics do you want me to talk about. Y'all follow me on social media. I am Miss Dugan09 on Instagram, Miss Dugan on Facebook. You can actually follow my personal Facebook as well, Alexis Dugan, and I'm on LinkedIn. And yeah, y'all, thanks for tuning in with your girl, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Y'all be sure to check out on one of my other videos regarding my debt-free journey. I have a whole playlist. So click one of the videos here, somewhere up in here. Y'all click one. Bye.